My grandpa has had trouble the last few weeks, so he is in the hospital. About 2 weeks ago, my grandma invited her longtime friend over for a chat over lunch. We were having a nice talk in the living room. About 20 minutes after she arrived, there was a knock at the door. A week before this, I fell down the stairs and broke my foot, so I could not answer the door. My grandma gets up and opens the door, and to her surprise, her friend's daughter, entitled mother, showed up with her son, nice kid, as well. Of course, as we were not expecting this, she asked if she could come in. Being the nice lady my grandmother is, she welcomed her in. I'm sitting on the couch that is directly visible from the front door and try to ignore this. I'm extremely antisocial, but well, I can't really move if I wanted to. As she walks in, my dog greets them at the door extremely excited. At this point I call the dog over so that there are no problems. She's a hyper dog, so she can get a bit intense. Entitled mother follows the dog with her eyes, which leads her gaze to me. She looks at my foot with a disgusted look. It is in a boot halfway up my leg. Well, hello there. What happened to your foot? I fell down the stairs when my foot got caught on the carpet. She walks over to me, staring intently at the boot on my left leg. All of a sudden she reaches for it and begins undoing the velcro, keeping it tight. I instinctively jolt my other leg to move her away. Why would you kick me? She snapped as I readjusted the boot. I don't think you understood. It's broken. I cannot take this off. Doctor's orders. But I wanna see it. I'm sorry, if I take it off there is a chance it could misplace itself, and even if it didn't, it would hurt. Well, I'll just be careful then. My son had strep throat as a kid and still sent him to school. You teenagers need to be more respectful and grow up. Hearing this, my grandmother's friend was annoyed. I was also getting a little annoyed at this point and called for my dad upstairs. He already disliked this entitled mother, as did most people in my family, so I knew he had my back. What's going on? I'm working. Your son thinks he is special because his foot is broken. He won't let me see it. My dad is a man from the South, and he values being polite and respectful, so this entitled mother really irritated him. Alrighty, if you wanna see it, pay him, he said sarcastically. $500 and pay for the hospital bill. No, all I wanted was to see the foot. I should be able to do what I want. My son, my house, my rules. If you don't like it, you can leave. Before she could say anything, my grandmother's friend stood up and walked outside, extremely angry, which is very rare. She is one of the nicest ladies I've ever met. She apologized and demanded entitled mother walk out of the house and go home. She politely asked if we could take her home later, as she wanted to have a nice time without the drama, which nobody seemed to have a problem with. She's fairly old, 75 to 80, and doesn't like driving in the dark. As the kid got in the car, I could see he was super upset that they had to leave. He is very friendly, but is stuck with the horrible mother. My dad now prevents entitled mother from coming to our house, but grandmother's friend still comes over frequently. A lot of the time we have her over during the day when entitled mother is at work and doesn't know. What? I've only had one bone smashed in my hand and that hurt like crazy. I would have screamed and probably tempted to throw something at her to get her away from me. She deserved to be kicked. That was the only way she was going to stop trying to look at your foot. Also, I don't think she would have stopped at looking. I think she would have tried to touch and press on the broken bones. I've never felt a broken bone before. You have to let me feel it. If she was disgusted just by looking at it with the boot on, then why did she want to see it with the boot off? Hi everyone. First post. So this happened back in November of last year, and since I recently started teaching myself to make sushi, I remember this story. Where I live, the lockdowns aren't very bad. Stores are open. Just keep a mask on, social distance, and limited amount of people in a store at a time, all of which are things that I'm very happy to do. This happened while I took a trip to the mall to find Christmas presents for my friends and family. A couple hours into my shopping, I decided to stop by the food court and grab some late lunch. I have a gluten allergy, so I went to the small sushi bar to grab a Philadelphia roll, cream cheese, salmon, and avocado. Those things are the best. There was a line of about 4 people that formed to the right of the sushi bar, but since there was only one man working at the sushi bar, it was taking a good bit of time between each order and sanitizing. I don't remember exactly how long the wait was, but it was long enough that the man who'd been in line behind me decided to go get some other food. After a while, it was almost my time to order. The worker was finishing up the order before me, and I was so excited to get that sweet sushi that I almost didn't notice the arrival of the Karen. She had the haircut. It was brown however, and was pushing a stroller with a small boy in it. She approached the sushi bar from the left side, even though the line was very clearly formed to the right, and I was a bit surprised but also excited. I haven't encountered a real life Karen before this, and wanted to see if this would play out like any of the stories I would read on here. The worker finished the order in front of me and barely began sanitizing the counter when Karen accosted him. Karen loudly, "Excuse me, can I get an insert sushi name here a roll? And quickly, my baby is hungry and tired." Her son was wide awake in the stroller and giggling happily at a toy he had, completely ignoring the sushi bar. The worker looked at her with a very tired expression, ignored her, and turned to me and asked me what I would like. As I ordered, the Karen started spluttering in surprise. I don't know why she thought that the worker would take her order first when I'd been standing in plain view of the counter for at least a half hour by now. Luckily that was the end of the confrontation, save for a dark glare in my direction from the Karen as she was forced to get in the actual line. So not the most exciting Karen story, but still a funny experience. Oh, and the sushi was very good. Remembering it was actually the worst part of the story, because I went back to that mall a few months later and found out that the bar had closed. Miss you, sushi man. Hopefully you didn't have to deal with too many more Karens. This is a story about a bad neighbor who used to live below my mother and I. This story happened to my mother, and I always witnessed it. Bad neighbor, entitled parent or entitled parent crotch goblins 1 through 5. Number 5 youngest to number 1 oldest, my mother, me, my sibling. There are multiple stories about this entitled parent and her crotch goblins. So I'll do my best to explain how she was, before giving you the grand ending. This entitled parent had 5 kids from 3 different fathers. She didn't work, because she was too lazy. She was offered a volunteer job that did pay. When mom wasn't working anymore she took the same job with her. The entitled parent lasted 1 day. Entitled parent was a bit on the bigger side. My mom wasn't, but she has a really bad back, but suffered the pain to provide for us when my siblings were still living in the apartment. My mom is a giver. When she was working she would randomly go to entitled parents and take them to Toys R Us and say pick out something for your kids, or let's get dinner, I'm buying. She would do so many nice things that the entitled parent was just using her and not caring about it. Whenever entitled parent would be mother from her baby daddy she would show it off in front of my mom, like she gave her them. When she had a rental she got out the car, tried to make my mom hold crotch goblin number 5 to get something out the car. My mom obviously knew entitled parent tried to show off. Entitled parent was jealous of my mom, and we never knew why, but this felt it. My mom for 4 years and bought birthday cake, presents, and balloons for all of entitled parents' crotch goblins. It took my big sibling to tell her that she was being used, that entitled parent didn't care. Even I noticed at a young age, whenever my mom invited entitled parent upstairs so she could talk to them. This was around the time a family member died, so my mom was crying. I woke up hearing sobs. I see my mother sitting at the table, entitled parent not close to her, not confronting or a concerned look. Entitled parent said, "Your child is here." I hugged my mom and went to bed. It took a few years to see the BS. Entitled parent didn't say my name, didn't hug her, she just stared like she had a million things to do. When my mom and entitled parent didn't talk for a moment, they asked to borrow our Wi-Fi. OP note, I know, don't say anything. My mother gave her the Wi-Fi and used it for a week. That's how long entitled parent wanted to use it. We asked if entitled parent was off the Wi-Fi. Entitled parent said yes. My mom didn't question it. I was young. My siblings moved out and I already smelled the BS. Another week goes by and my mother and I had the most terrible work connection. We unplugged the router and back still terrible. I kept saying my mom entitled parents still using our Wi-Fi. She refused to believe it. Until we decided to change the password one night. It was a Friday. The entitled parents TV was loud. Their crotch goblins' devices is loud too. When we change the password a minute goes by, then downstairs is completely silent. All devices using our Wi-Fi were offline. I will never forget the face my mother made when she heard it completely quiet downstairs. I yelled the biggest back quote, "I told you so." She was shocked. We thought one or device phones now. Everything was shut. Another tale, which was the most upsetting. This was after all the BS background you read. One of entitled parents' crotch goblin's birthday was coming up. My mother's weak spot is babies. She has no spine for them and spoils them. But my mother had enough of years suffer for this entitled parent. For this birthday she said happy birthday to crotch goblin number 5 and that was it. Entitled parent called my mom. "Hello, mom." "Yes." Entitled parent. "Where's my cake? Where is my gifts?" "Mom, how about you be a parent and give to your own children? You didn't do anything for mine. Why the crap would I constantly give to you?" Entitled parent. Silence. "Mom, you always used me, not anymore." Then click. After that we didn't speak to one another. It was weird at first, because I used to be best friend with crotch goblins as 1 2 3, but they didn't care and neither did I. Crotch goblins 4 and 5 were monsters. Running, screaming, stomping all day. We couldn't take it and pray they would move out. They did after the fight. The fight? Yes, the fight. The entitled parent became mean and always talked crap, but never did anything. My mom would just do it without talking. The rivalry was brewing for months. Glares watching up the stairs. When they would see we were outside, they would go inside at the same time. They would close the door seconds from you getting inside. But one night, when the crotch goblins 4 and 5 were too loud, my mother snapped and walked downstairs, telling them to control their kids. Entitled parent got attitude and talked crap. Crotch goblins 1 to 5 was surrounding entitled parent while my mom was alone. I put on shoes when I heard yelling. What I saw was my mom in a fighting position. She is an ex-cop, ready to fight. I try to de-escalate this. The entitled parent sent a crotch goblin to grab pants. Entitled parent was wearing like biker shorts. Entitled parent put it on. My mom still ready with hands balled to fist, feet apart ready for anything entitled parent could do. Entitled parent was slowly backing into her apartment while talking crap. My mom wanted entitled parent to hit first to start it, but entitled parent was a bit afraid to. My mother is 5 feet 3 inches, but for a small woman she is really strong. Her emotional hugs are deadly. Entitled parent was still talking crap, but decided to spit on my mom. That triggered her. My mom yanked entitled parent out of her apartment. I get between them, the only one doing this. The crotch goblins are watching. When they split apart, no damage was done. Crotch goblin number 1 yells some slurs my way trying to provoke me to fight, even though by this point they were 18 and I'm younger. I ignored and relaxed my mom. The landlord saw everything. Entitled parent called the cops and tried to get my mom arrested. They couldn't. Then magically entitled parent and the crotch goblins moved out, never to be seen again. Thank you to anyone who read this. Sorry if it was too wordy or long. Well, here goes my story. Happened 5 days ago, but just for context, y'all gonna need a bit of backstory. My mother is a woman and obligatory a parent who thinks she is entitled to do what she wants to her children, which means that my little brother and I were psychologically, emotionally, and sometimes physically tormented as little kiddos. I was held in her house all day with her, and I wasn't allowed to go anywhere except school, so I couldn't escape. Which means I haven't experienced the real world until recently. The torment has lasted for about 13 years, until I finally found the courage to put my balls on the diner table and verbally hold my grounds against my mom, and protect my small bean of a brother. I also started to educate him the proper way, like how to set boundaries, and not take crap from people who overstep them. Bonus points. Mother wasn't pleased. For a couple of months everything was going as smoothly as it could, and then the old global issue hit and we were told to stay locked together. And dear mother took advantage of us being within her arm's reach to start a whole new sequel of her bullcrap. In the span of a few months with her I reached my limits and called CPS, and for some obscure reasons, she got the new. Now, let's make a proper introduction of the entitled parent of the day. M, the self-proclaimed good mother, my birther. Me, heck yeah, that's me. SB, my small bean, my little bro. But the story will mainly be focused around me and M. Now, let the party start. I just got released from the hospital. I was there for a whole other story and I called CPS while in the comfort of my not so good looking hospital bed. I'm at front door of my mom's house, ready to get my butt beaten. I opened the door and there I found my mom, drunk off her butt in her sofa, hellfires in her eyes. I swear I could feel the heat from the doorway. She gets up and walk over to me with all her dignity left and spits out, "M, I'm so mad at you right now." Now, I don't like the tone she was using, so I guess I didn't think too much before responding. Me, and so am I now. Say what you want to my face before I turn my back on you. Please note that, while I was mad AF in this conversation, I tried my best to be civil and act like a decent human being. I didn't want to say anything that might end up in a physical fight. She wouldn't win, but I don't want to beat up some old small lady, because nope, unlike M, I have values. At that point, she's getting more and more agitated, spouting some incoherent phrases I still don't understand to this day. M just stormed off the room to pour herself another glass while screaming, "M, we can't even beat our kids these days, and now my own child. And no, it's telling everyone I'm a bad mother." Incoherent stuttering. Is that what you want now? To ruin my life? Ah yes, the typical "oh, I'm a bad mother." You know the sentence they use to guilt trip their kids into feeling bad for her? That's the one. Yup, it doesn't work on me anymore. Me, you ruined my childhood and hurt SB. We'll be even. She then proceeded to throw a fist against the table next to my blunt self. M, what did I do to you, huh? Say it. Me, okay, let's start with M. Oh, don't you dare talk back to me. I am your mother and I'm telling you that you're lying. Me, oh, does that make us all angry? That I have a voice and a conscious mind? I know you stopped loving your children when they started to speak their mind. M, no, it because you are my kids and I get to do what I want with you. I fed and put a roof over your heads. Isn't that enough? She suddenly changes the subject, as if it actually became clear to her that she was running out of arguments. M, so what did you say to CPS? I want to know now what lies you fed them, you ungrateful child. Her face turned even more redder when I decided to not respond to her question immediately. She knows what she did to us, so there's no secrets. Note that I'm also making a crafty smug smile while maintaining the silence, just to rile her up a bit more. And now ladies, gentlemen and all genders included, this is where things really go to crap. Me, well, first I told them about your alcoholism. That was enough to attract their attention to you. I took picture of your empty bottles of alcohol as proof. I have also recordings of you insulting and menacing SB recently. I also told them all about the torment you had us go through when we were little kids. You're merely getting what you deserve. M, oh, so now I'm not allowed to educate my children? How dare you record me without my consent? I knew I should have hit you harder like back in my days, so you wouldn't become a rebel. Ain't gonna lie, what she just said really hurt me right in the feelings. But I didn't back down. I couldn't for the sake of my sanity, and because I wanted to show M who I am. A bit of revenge never hurts, right? Me, yeah sure. You know what? Let's see what CPS thinks of this. M, I did not do anything to you. You're just an oversensitive spoiled brat. You tell lies to everyone to make me feel bad. This just blurred speech. I don't speak Karen nor drunk. I decided to quickly cut her to make a point. The final one. I have now enough proof to make everything stop, to make the pain she inflicts to us end. Me, I'm gonna make this clear. We are done. I am done. I'm currently recording all of your crap talking. Karma is finally coming for ya. We are done. I said loud and clear before showing her the red button on my screen so she could see the proof of how bad of a freaking maniac human being she is. She drops her glass on the table, stares at me in utter disbelief as I hold my phone up, the red button still pulsing to indicate it is still up, and going 10 seconds passes while her brain restarts, and she then immediately bursts the front door open and storms out. I see SB open his bedroom door a couple of minutes after all of this bullcrap. He was crying. He all but just ran up to me to ask, "SB, are you okay? Did she hurt you? Are we getting help? Where did M go? She's gonna get hurt outside." I don't know why SB was so adamant to know about M's whereabouts and general safety. I think he just has a golden heart. I wanted to cry with him at very moment, but I needed to stay strong for SB. Me, just don't worry about her. She'll come back unfortunately. Let's make dinner for ourselves. Do you want pasta? And this is where my story ends. Ended making pasta for my little bro and IPS. I made pasta because it's my SB's favorite meal and M just hates it. So we never get to actually enjoy some good pasta together. Edit 1. Thank you for all your helpful comment. Sorry I couldn't respond to you all. I noticed that some of you recognized me from an older post in this sub and are asking about why I suddenly talk about a brother. My brother came out as transgender a couple of days ago and now goes by he/him. He was my sister before. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell. Have a beautiful rest of your day.